This is where we need to go, I think.
As Joseph and Michelle Assad work their way across the globe, their minds are focused on their destination.
All right, we gotta catch our flight.
The northern Iraqi city of Erbil, where the ancient citadel and bustling central market sit amid a forest of half-built high-rises. The streets, for the most part, are peaceful. But a savage war is just on the horizon. The city is unmistakably Muslim. But drive into the district of Ankawa and you pass a statue of the Virgin Mary. You enter an area Christians have been calling home for 1,000 years. We enter the grounds of a modest church called Mar Aliyah to meet Father Douglas Bazzi.
Hello, Father Douglas.
Hello, hi.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
I'm Father.
For years, he has been here reading the gospel written in Aramaic, the language of Iraqi Christians, and the original language of Jesus. But Mar Aliyah is more than a house of worship. Today, it is a haven for 560 Christian refugees who have fled the horrors of ISIS, living here in the courtyard for the past 15 months, less than an hour's drive from the fighting.
How concerned are you about the security situation? How concerned are the people who live here?
Do you think we have choices? We don't have choices here. I'm surprised how my people still exist here. By the way, I never call it camp.
You don't call it a camp?
No, I call it center.
Under an asphalt sky, Father Douglas leads us into the warren of metal containers called caravans.
So obviously this is the wash, and this is where they cook.
Yeah.
Each one housing an entire family.
How many people live here?
Live here, 6.
6 people in this?
Yes.
In this
Caravan.
And as we spoke to the people surviving here, we pieced together the story of how this all came to be.
Actually, it was terrible. I don't want to remember that.
The refugees come from a town called Karakosh, once a town of 50,000, the largest Christian majority city in Iraq.
We thought like Karakosh is a peaceful place.
On August 6, 2014, that all ended when ISIS mortars began raining down from the sky. Lillian Sakat is a 24-year-old kindergarten teacher.
When they began bombing, 2 children and a woman died.
Just days before, in a nearby town, ISIS took women and young girls as sex slaves. So for Rita Khalil and her older sister Rania, the choice was simple.
Was that part of why you knew you had to run?
Of course, we are so scared to do the same thing with us.
Within hours, tens of thousands of people fled the town in chaos and headed for the safety of Erbil. The roads were choked with people and dust. Nissan Buttress, a retired pharmacist, captured the terror of that night on videotape. His family of 10 packed into the back of his truck.
What was that like? It must have been chaos.
It is a difficult night. Dust and child cannot able to breathe oxygen.
Others fled with little more than their most precious possessions. A Bible, a flute, a rosary, identification papers. That night, with traffic helplessly snarled, many of the refugees abandoned their vehicles and set off on foot and literally walked through the valley of the shadow of death.
They began walking?
Yeah, they began walking. And there was a lot of dust, and they were just shooting in the air. Everyone was afraid.
Father Douglas has first-hand experience of religious persecution. In 2006, he was kidnapped by Islamic extremists and tortured for 9 days. They broke his teeth, his nose, and his back.
I got shot in my leg. Still the bullet.
Where?
It's still here.
The bullet is still in your leg?
Yeah.
So as the Karakosh refugees began streaming into his church, he was happy to offer them a safe haven from the horror.
When people arrive, they were completely lost and confused. They were refusing even to eat because they say, I lost everything, why should I live?
ISIS soldiers soon invaded the town. Their demands were simple and harsh.
They were given an ultimatum, 24 hours, convert or leave.
Or be killed or to be converted.
ISIS went about its usual business, terrorizing residents who stayed, seizing Christian homes, marking each one with the Arabic letter Nun for Nazarene, just as they did in these nearby towns, desecrating churches.
They pulled down the cross on the church and put the flag of ISIS over all church in
So
Karakosh.
instead of the cross on top, there's
Yes, yes.
the flag of ISIS?
It's our language.
Meanwhile, Father Douglas prepared to host his new guests for an extended stay. As the days became weeks and then months, the refugees went from sleeping on the ground to sleeping in tents, and finally to the caravans we saw today. It is not the world's grittiest refugee camp, but conditions here are bleak. Children sleep like sardines. Space heaters are the only way to keep warm, as long as the electricity is running. And hundreds of people share a handful of communal bathrooms.
The same toilet, the same showers. So we have this facility here is for men and for women.
Still, everywhere we are met with friendly smiles. We notice that nearly half the camp is under the age of 18.
Hello, hello. Oh, is she blowing you kisses? That's so sweet.
Come in. Marhaba.
During the last year, 8 babies were born. This little girl, named Flower of the Spring, is just 12 days old.
Oh, she's so beautiful.
All of life happening in your courtyard?
I cannot tell my people to slow down. In our culture, at least to have occasion for happiness is better to not be sadness.
There are even weddings like this one, the people preserving their endangered culture. And with this nativity scene at the courtyard, preserving their religion. Home is where Jesus is.
They took our houses and we became one family. They took our churches and now we became one church. Look to our faces. Actually, we took from them everything.
The refugees know they can't stay here forever, but where do they go? The answer, when it comes, is surprising. It comes from that unlikely American couple, Joseph and Michelle Assad, now making their way here with an audacious and risky plan.
I'm worried because I have a lot of people, man, on the line.
And a magic suitcase to make it all happen.
This is incredible. It is it's becoming a reality.